Well, hello everybody, Scorpio decompression time. Um, no, you have the right number. I'm just going to put the link in the group to make sure everybody's on the right page. Yeah, somebody was doing a reading for me on my Zoom, so that was nice. And she gave me lots of ideas. It was fabulous. Oh, so hi. Did I boot you? If so, did you have to rejoin? I'm sorry about that. Anyway, we got the right meeting number. Yes, I know. She ran late. She was. Somebody was doing a reading for me, so that was nice. That was. I've had a personal little session this morning. So with another astrologer I did a trade with, and a good one. I did a trade recently that was not good. It was horrible. So here we are, Scorpio. Whoa, holy shit. What's been happening in Scorpio? Now, I haven't actually, I'm just kind of going to channel today because we have this new moon coming up. So I'm really going to talk a little bit about what's coming up. As usual, I do not go through your charts on this call. I'll be going through your charts on the next call. So this is more general, and you will have to kind of look at your chart to see where things are happening. But right now, Jupiter is right sitting on my midheaven. So I'm like going, got to do all the things for my mission in life, got to fulfill my mission in life. And then I get this card. So I'll show you what. Now I looked at it and I'm like, indolence, okay? Indolence? But what this card actually means is about taking on too much and then getting overwhelmed and kind of getting sick, probably. And funny, I was awake last night thinking I was getting a cold. I don't know if I am. I'm going to pile vitamin C in today, actually. But anyway, enough of that. That was kind of me rambling a little bit about me. But because I've just had this fire hose of a reading, so having one immediately before a call is probably not the best idea. But just to, because I'm like, whoa, got to do all this stuff. She gave me all these ideas about my business, about growing my astrology business, and fabulous, fabulous ideas, I have to say. So, excuse me. Okay, so coming up, we have some pretty major things that I want to talk about for this week. So, well, the rest of Scorpio season, really. Let's have a look. When is our next call? I just want to look when our next call is to see how long we've got. November the 24th. So it is 2 weeks. Yeah, it is. It is November the 10th today. Well, first of all, we have 11/11 tomorrow in a 1 year. So I would suggest kind of doing something wherever you are at 11 a.m. on the 11th of the 11th in a 1 year. All those ones, new beginnings. I know this is not strictly speaking astrology, but I'm going to look at the chart for it for tomorrow as well. We do have Neptune at 11 degrees and also Mars, actually. And they are they have been making kind of a difficult aspect. But let's look at 11 a.m. tomorrow, my time, at least. So yes, still Neptune exactly in the middle of the 11th degree. In fact, let's read the Sabian symbol for that. Sorry, I'm a bit disorganized, but like I say, I've probably been taking on a bit too much lately. Because yesterday, I don't know if you saw, and in fact, I'll get the recording and I'll post it for you. I did a presentation for EA Zoom meetings, evolutionary arts Zoom meetings on Jupiter Neptune. So you will get that. But let's look at what's the message for me of tomorrow. The actual symbol is, in the sanctuary of an occult brotherhood, newly initiated members are being examined and their character tested. The keynote by Dame Rudyard is the ever-repeated challenge presented to the individual by the group in which he has claimed acceptance, the challenge to prove himself and his ability to assume responsibility effectively. And I'm smiling because of what the woman, so the astrologer, said in my reading. At any level of activity, sooner or later, life itself demands of the individual that he or she stand up clearly and unequivocally to the ideal he himself has declared publicly his own. At the occult level, the testing seems to be controlled and irrevocable. The initiate has become a constituent part of an integrated field of mental, spiritual activity. He, she is therefore controlled by the structural order of the group. He is no longer seeking, having found his place. He must prove himself able to fulfill the function associated with it. He is no longer free as an individual, for he has become part of an integral whole operating under structural principles of immense antiquity. Now, I'm actually gonna, if that's a heavy one, that is a really heavy one. So I'm gonna get Linda Hill's. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna get Linda Hill's book on that one because she kind of breaks it down a little bit more. Because with Neptune squaring my moon in Jupiter right now, sometimes I look at things like that and I go, whoa. Anyway. So, okay, Linda says in her oracle, she kind of words it a little bit differently. You may find that those above or around you are judging you. It's difficult to see what their qualifications to judge you are, but this is often the nature of progression through the ranks. Examinations of any kind can show others the stuff we're made of, and this is life examinations. I find Neptune squaring my moon quite confusing, and my Jupiter, because basically I'm just wanting to live in la la land, Jenna. So I'm finding it confusing and hard to stay grounded, I guess, is probably a better description than confusing. I just want to be in fantasy magical land. So so confusing is perhaps the wrong word, but anyway. So sometimes I'm finding it hard to make sense of things and kind of see things very clearly. So I see this as not just, kind of examination as in specific organizations. I'm seeing this as in a bigger picture of life, really. Sometimes we need to let others make their own practical assessments of our individual worth. Other times there may be a desire to pull someone down, particularly someone who seems to be getting too big for his or her boots. If you feel that you or someone else is being tested and examined, remember that if you perform at your best, that's really the best that can be done. For me, this is a lot about stepping out really publicly as an astrologer amongst other astrologers and going into groups and speaking in other astrology groups and going to that conference. For the longest time, I've kind of hidden from other astrologers for fear of not being good enough, really. So there you go. There's my personal one. Anyway, people being critical of one another can lead to better behavior, better performances, or the like, or it can lead to one feeling judged, violated, and intruded upon. Sometimes we feel that our lives are like lessons, and we sometimes get examined to see how we are doing on our path. Does everyone want to stay on the path, or are some of them wondering what they're doing? Now, I'm going to give my own particular thing about it. Now, I kind of like the access consciousness view about judgment. And I'm not an access practitioner, so this is purely my vague memories of it and my interpretation of it. That really judgment is poisonous, but then I come from the realm of kind of mirror work as well, where if you perceive someone's judging you, it's just they are a reflection of you and showing you something that you need to be aware of, and maybe a lesson. It doesn't mean they're right. It doesn't mean, but it means something you've got to question yourself about and to see whether you are where you want to be at. Does that make sense? This is about going within and looking at others and their judgments and the initiation you may feel you're going through as a reflection of something internal. So that's all I'm going to say on that, really. There may be a couple of quotes I would like to read. She's always very good at... I like this one from the I Ching. Okay. The sage who is living outside the routine of the world contemplates his own character, not as an isolated ego manifestation, but in relation to the laws of life. He judges freedom from blame to be the highest good. I like that one. There we go. That's some stuff for you. But let's go on. So the big aspect of this week, well, we have some major things coming up before the 24th. So I'm going to go 2 weeks ahead and quickly go through what's happening for all of you so that you kind of get, hi, Yasmin, hello. Good to see you here. But today I've written all on my page already about Saturn trine Uranus, so you guys can listen or go read that. But it's kind of the culmination probably of something that began last December, Christmas Eve, around that time. Interestingly, that's when Carrie Fisher had her heart attack and died 4 days later, and then her mom died a day later, and George Michael died as well from heart attack on that aspect. So Saturn trine Uranus, and I say that, and I didn't really put this on the page, so I will talk a bit. Kind of does feel a bit heart attacky almost, because it's like you've got this freedom wanting to like break out, and then this Saturn saying, hang on, stay constrained. So it's like the heart goes, not that everybody's going to have a heart attack, but it just gives a good visual to me of how it feels, that you might be wanting to break the old rules of doing things, the old way of doing stuff. And but yet you have to do it within structures and restriction and build these new structures as well. So it's kind of I described it as a quiet breaking free. But anyway, tomorrow we also have the third quarter moon today, but tomorrow the square is sun is squaring the moon's nodes, and of course the sun rules Leo, where the north node is. And remember that the nodes were next to that August the 21st eclipse, okay, where the sun and the moon were next to the nodes. So this sun squaring the north node, or the nodes, is very important. It's a very important pivot point or shift or in what has come from that August the 21st eclipse. And if you remember, I talked a lot about it at the time, about following your heart and finding your inner gold. Well, I think I'm very well on the path towards that. I think I've done the work, and I'm thinking a lot of you are doing too. But this one is in Scorpio, the sun in Scorpio squaring. A square to the nodes is always do we slip back into our old ways, or do we move forward? And in Scorpio, I'm suggesting we're going to have to dig a bit deep to into our deep resources of power that are right down in our root chakra to be able to continue on this path that was started on the eclipse. Does that make sense to you all? Yeah. Go anger. And I feel the anger actually as the kind of this real, like Lilith anger, down right in those lower chakras again. It's not the anger of the head, it's not the anger of Mars. It's really this deep rage for all the times where we've been shamed and been excluded and been kept down and things like that, and being shut out. That's how the anger feels to me, this anger rising. It's all part of this Me Too movement too. Yes, millennia of suppression being released. Yeah, explosive activity and meltdowns followed by strange non-calm. Yeah, well, let's channel that perhaps more constructively, Jenna, rather than make meltdowns that might hurt you, unless the meltdown's needed. But this is this coming together in this Me Too. This is saying no more. And I know I'm going to say it again, but I want to actually talk to you about, did you talk to the lawyer about your rights with your husband or husband? I know we talked about you don't have to actually initiate anything yet. Oh, I still think part of this stepping into your individual power is at least finding out what your rights are. And I know it's easy to say I haven't had time, so I'm going to be really honest here. But I think it's part of you really stepping into your power is to find out what your rights are, because he's connected to with all this home thing. But anyway, oh yeah, that's why you need to find out what your rights are. Oh, you have. Good. Put your foot down. You have a rubber sword you beat on soft sofa cushions. I like that. Oh, didn't you have refused, Jenna? Good Lord. This man likes to control. Make another appointment as soon as you find a new place. Let's hold space that we are going to find a new place. Okay. That Jenna is going to find a new place. Soon. Very soon. In fact, the new moon. Let's put it on for the new moon, which is really soon. Let's have a look. When is the new moon? On the 10th of November at 1:36 p.m. Mountain is the new moon. Exactly. That's what I've been trying to say, Yasmin. Once you know your rights and you're coming from a place of strength, it's all going to start to fall into place, I believe. That doesn't mean you have to serve him with a petition or divorce papers. It's just coming from that place of strength, of knowing your rights and your needs. Cool, good. But let's put intention for, oh no, that was the last quarter, sorry. What am I talking about? The new moon's on the 18th. That's today, the 10th. The new moon is on the 18th at 4:42 a.m. Mountain. So a week today. Let's set intention that you sign a lease on a new place on the 18th of November. And let's set intention that Jenna sets this up so that the husband doesn't pay the rent directly, because that's holding control over her. Pays it to her first. Yes. Okay. And then, but you do have some big opportunity. You're paying your own deposit too. Yes. Yes. Let's all put prayers on our altars for Jenna, because this is huge. You know, it's a huge happening. Moving home is not good too, but I think it's a necessary step for you in your evolution and stepping into your own authority. So in 2.5 days' time, about Venus moves. I'm going to get to the exact point. Venus and Jupiter connect exactly in Scorpio at 7 degrees of Scorpio. And I'm not looking at everybody's charts yet, but Jenna, you should look where 7 degrees Scorpio falls in your chart. Because, you know, Venus and Jupiter are expansion, luck, manifestation, good with money. In fact, maybe you'll sign the lease then at 9, 11, and 12. Yeah, I knew you had a lot in Scorpio. So this Venus-Jupiter conjunction is directly on these planets for you, almost as directly as it's on my midheaven, Venus and Neptune. So it's kind of huge, really, for a big surge in luck. And what house were they in? I cannot remember. Sorry, I cannot remember. But anyway, and this won't all. I'm going to talk about everybody here, but. So, but Venus conjunct Jupiter should be the home. It's in the 4th house. Oh, well, maybe you'll find it on Monday, because that's November the 13th when it's conjunct, and have it all done and dusted by the new moon, ready to go. Let's set that intention. This is all working for her. It is. Yeah. And in Scorpio, maybe it's because Scorpio is so hidden, maybe this one will come up for you from unexpected sources, from something you've not seen before, from something hidden, from a bit of deep investigation, by maybe even asking around or finding a source of available rentals that you hadn't known about before, that somehow not many people know about. I think there's something a little bit quiet and secretive. You looked in another area. Okay, well, I'm going to leave that one with you. But oh, you see, you should come and tell us all these things in the group. Then we can all hold space for this stuff. You're not jinxing anything. You're putting the intention out there. Okay, let's hold intention that if this place, share as much as you want when you're going through shit, Jenna. Everybody in this group. That's what the group's there for support. You're not being needy. Everybody's going to go through times where they need more than others, and the others want to help and support as well. And that's why I do it as a group. Okay. So I want everybody to share their successes, maybe I should just ask more often. Maybe I'll make that a little note for me to ask on a regular basis what your successes and your issues are. There you go. But anyway, oh, you'll find this interesting too, actually. Good. Oh, you did. You had to get tougher your pay. Were they not paying you, or you need more? Just out of interest. But anyway, also on oh, they hadn't put it through. Holy shit. God, that's no good. But anyway, late on Monday as well, Mercury is squaring Neptune and entering the Mercury retrograde shadow. Okay. He does that kind of shortly afterwards, this square to Neptune. And funny, Jenna and I just were talking about about Neptune on the start of the call, because Neptune is squaring my moon and Jupiter at the moment. And therefore Mercury is going to be conjunct my Jupiter and opposing my moon and squaring the Neptune. Now, this can be a little bit fog-brained, but it's fabulous for creativity and kind of connection with the muse. I was just saying, it's not so much confusing as I'm finding it hard to be grounded and get, I'm getting a lot done, but it's more in the creative way and a lot of channely talking things, but actually getting organized. My office is a complete shitty mess. It's a Piscean mess, and it's overwhelming me, okay? And that's very Neptune-y too, very overwhelming. So, but when Mercury comes in and squares this very late on Monday and Tuesday in most parts of the world, that's going to be some real messages from Spirit. I'm asking Prince to come and tell me some stuff, because he's been talking to me. In 6 days' time, so in a week's time, we have Venus aspecting Neptune, and so Venus from Scorpio, and the Sun from Scorpio aspecting Chiron. So again, next week is going to be leading up to the new moon in Scorpio. Is going to be really, like they always say, the veil is thin at this time of year, but it's even more thin at the moment. The connection with the other side, with the subconscious and the unconscious, is really could not be stronger. And with what I call that key to healing and that true Christ consciousness and the feelings of universal love, unconditional love, compassion and peace are really high. Of course, that also means, because there's a lot of water, that there's heightened emotions too. But I always like to say that that's not really a bad thing. We are emotional beings, especially as women, and ruled by water. And that's kind of funny. This reading I just had, she was talking about me creating something about, being your badass Venus or something. I can't remember. I have to listen to it all again. So I'm only going to pull out the really big aspects from now on, because I'm going on a lot. But in about a week and a third, so let's go forward. Mars is in Libra. Mars is kind of running on his own a bit in Libra at the moment. He's been upsetting. Of course, he's the traditional ruler of Scorpio, and he has been helping to dig up all this Me Too movement and all this female anger and rage again. So more of it, especially with Venus, the ruler of Libra, being in Scorpio. So they're kind of in a mutual reception. But Mars is going to square on the day of the new moon, it looks like. So there's the new moon. Let me get to the chart of that. Well, shortly after the new moon, Mars, but pretty much it's happening on the new moon. So we have this new moon in Scorpio, Okay, and that's going to be at it's going to go back a bit, at 26 degrees, which is the number 8, which I always think is really Scorpio number as well. It's 8, it's infinity, but it's also money and deep, deep balance and connection and harmony on your sun. I know, I think we talked about that before, didn't we? But not only do we have this new moon in Scorpio coming up, Pluto and Mars, the traditional and the modern ruler of Scorpio, are squaring each other in Libra and Capricorn. That Mars Pluto is always potentially kind of violent, so there could be some violence going on in the world. But what I am really seeing coming up at a collective level is some real major shifts in all this secrecy, all this corruption, all this dirt that's being dug up. I think there's going to be something major coming at the end of next week. And okay, I'm going to tell you, I follow some kind of conspiracy theorists a bit. Well, often they're actually proven to be right, the ones I follow. They're not the really bad conspiracy theorists. But anyway, this is on Twitter. And this is fact. There are dozens now of sealed indictments going on with the Mueller investigation into supposedly into Russia collusion with Trump. I will tell you, some of it is not just about the Trump lot. It's about all of our government, apparently, in the US. Of course, the US is being affected by all this energy greatly. And maybe all those indictments, maybe there'll be mass arrests next week, which could lead to some kind of violence too. Some protests, things like that. So, there's something big coming, and this Scorpio new moon is going to be part of it. Now, as well, that Scorpio new moon is squaring the degree of the August the 21st eclipse, because we're in that sun. So, that's really kind of triggering the eclipse. And since the eclipse, we've had major things happening. So anything that's been really happening in your life that was triggered by the eclipse, expect more triggering next week, the end of next week. It's really just kind of pretty huge, really. So not kind of the end of next week, and the weekend is going to be very interesting next week. Then we have so after that, as if that's not enough, we have Mars sextiling the North Node. So just after he's just right after he's squared Pluto, he hits that Leo North Node too, bringing us towards that. Just look after yourself, find your inner gold, follow your heart. Then Venus joins the party and squares the nodes too, in just under or in just over a week and a half's time. So Venus on just before, it's really literally just before the sun goes into Sagittarius. And then we have Sagittarius season starting. Woohoo! Oh my God, I cannot wait. After having had Saturn going over everything in my Sagittarius, which is my Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Sun, and rising sign. Now I know I've had my time rectified, and I'm now end of Sagittarius rising, not Capricorn rising. I always was, but perfect timing for everything, discovering my correct birth time. after rectification with another astrologer, or a couple of them actually, at that retreat. So on November the 21st at 8:08 p.m. about, I think, is the ingress of the sun into Sagittarius. Things are going to start to lighten up. But of course, Sagittarius likes truth. So we've had all that dirt dug up, and still will be being, because Jupiter's still there and Venus is still there, and Jupiter's there right till next October. But it's now going to move on to the point of, we want the truth out there. Wasn't that the X-Files? The truth is out there or something? Anyway. And then on November the 22nd, we have Neptune stationing direct. Now, for those of us that have Neptune aspecting any planets, me, Jenna, quite a few of us, I think. If you have any planets around 11 degrees in your chart, especially if you have them in mutable signs, okay, and that is Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces. Any planets around that point, you will be affected by this Neptunian shift. Now, Neptune goes retrograde every year and goes direct every year. So it's almost half the year retrograde every year. So the retrograde itself is not that huge. But the times around the station are very big, and there are often now Neptune in Pisces particularly gives spiritual shifts. It gives real kind of shifts in it's illusion and delusion, Neptune in Pisces. So often the shift in direction of Neptune in Pisces is suddenly where you see something that you've been thinking that you thought was right is no longer true, and it kind of fades away, and all your illusions are kind of really taken away, and you start to see things more clearly. Well, we're probably starting to feel this now. Everybody feels it, but you feel it more if you have any things around 11 degrees. Okay. So that's it, really, I think. Most of anything else I want to talk about will be on the next call. So there was something else I wanted to talk about. It's gone. I can't remember. That's really weird. Anyway. No, it can't have been that important, or it will come back. So we are going to do a journey today. But because I think we're going to journey into this coming new moon and go deep and see what we're meant to see on this new moon, and see what intentions that our guides would, or our subconscious would like us to set on this new moon at 26 degrees of Scorpio. Okay, so we're going to do an underworld journey. At least I don't need to really go into what that is for you guys anymore. You have Neptune 10 degrees in Scorpio in a second. This is not actually, that's a nice watery trine. So that's a deep connection with spirit. I would say that's really good, the station, and your self-esteem is probably going to greatly increase with this station. So a trine aspect is a bit easier. It can be a bit lazy, but you do the work anyway to connect with the unconscious and the subconscious and spirit. So so I have no concerns that you are not going to maximize this opportunity. So anyway, it is going to be an underworld journey. Okay, so go down into the underworld. Ask your guides to take you to the energy of the new moon at 26 degrees Scorpio. You're going to probably go into some very deep places. It could be a cave. It could be a graveyard. It could be something like that. Because Scorpio is about death and rebirth in a huge way. Okay, and I don't know why my YouTube's not loading. It's all right, I'll figure that out while I'm talking. So go down into this this deep place, Scorpio, into the cave. It could even be a dismemberment journey, but I'm not going to ask you to do a dismemberment journey. If it ends up that way, then it does. If you get all pulled apart and put back together again, then so be it. But you know, just go always, trust what comes, to pay attention to what's around you. I'm just loading the track now. Or am I? Oh my Lord. Am I getting some? Oh, there we go. On you go. Well, we only have you left here, Yasmin. How was that? If you have a couple of minutes, would love to see you anyway. I haven't seen you for ages. So, hello. Oh, you look. Oh, I'm going to unmute you. Hang on.
Hello there. Good to be back.
That looks like you went deep.
Yeah, it was one of those journeys. I wasn't sure if I was making it up or not because it was just so fantastical,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But
Well, that's the
I
net
went,
effect too. Everything's,
is it?
yeah, yeah. Because you know,
Yeah,
yeah, it's more kind of, it is fantasy. So, but that doesn't mean it isn't. You-
no,
that doesn't make it up. It's still got the right message. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I I had on like a leopard skin cape,
Mm,
and Scorpio met me, and he was wearing a shiny red, like PVC cat suit. And he had his tail coming out behind him. It was all very kind of like those S&M type of outfits, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
And bit sort of scary. I kind of looked around to see if one of my regular guides was around to come with me, but they weren't coming with me on this journey. It was just him. And we went down into the underworld and saw this thing that looked like an earthen igloo with like a little tunnel entrance,
Mm,
and kind of crawled in together. And instead of it being like a home, it was a womb uh, filled with amniotic fluid. And I don't really like being underwater.
right.
So it was really scary and was very big and it was very light. And I was just kind of floating around, not sure what the hell we were doing. But it was a lovely, nice, light blue color and sunlight coming down from the top. And then I kind of swam up to the top and just came up onto the banks.
Right.
And on the shore, there were headstones.
Mm,
And on the headstones, it said negative, one said negative family values, another one said negative patriarchal values, negative cultural values, negative relationship values, negative prosperity values. And then he picked up the headstones and he put them into a funeral pyre with lots of wood. And we were standing on a ghat in Varanasi then, on the banks of the Ganges.
uh-huh.
And you know, it's not when the funeral pyres are lit and it's full of dead bodies and bones. And so we were standing there, and but he was burning the headstones. And although he didn't speak to me, he was kind of communicating that the headstones were so solid and they just kind of withstand the ages, but not this time, not with the funeral pyre in Varanasi. And we waited for them to come down to ashes, and then we walked down the steps of the Ghat, and he just like dived into the Ganges, and I was a bit nervous about getting in because it is dirty,
Yeah.
and I don't like putting my head into underwater in lovely water, let alone the Ganges.
Seriously.
So we went. I just thought, right, okay, just do it.
Yeah.
So we went down, and we went down and down and down, right down to the riverbed, and there was like a little funnel, and went through the funnel, a little bit like a whirlpool,
Yeah.
and came out through the entrance of the that cavern, that little earthen thing. and
Yeah.
then back out and back to my middle world. So it's kind of like water and fire, and I guess like it felt like a birth,
Yeah.
going back into the amniotic fluid and then going into Mother Ganges.
And I love that there was fire too, because of the aspect, the square back to the Leo eclipse degree.
Oh, blimey.
That was the phoenix. So another form of death and rebirth, if you like. So
Right, okay.
yeah,
Right, I didn't realize that.
that's how I see it, with all the stuff burning. It's
Yeah.
that's amazing. So did you ask about what intentions to set and things, or did you not?
He said that I'm going into a womb for the winter.
Right,
Really, snuggle and dark and into hibernation. But he said it's spacious
right.
for me to get down to just doing everything I have to do in the winter quiet,
Mm,
like all my projects, all my creativity.
uh-huh.
He said that's where I am. He says I'm in womb space and it's creative and prosperous.
Good. Yay. I like
So,
that.
and then by the time I've gestated, I'll come out the other side.
But you don't have to go into a womb to stay off the internet again. You could come to the calls.
No, he says I'm in it. I'm in it already.
Oh, so that's all right.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to be back on the calls. I've missed them. I've missed connecting with everyone.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad I thought of that during the call, though, that I should post regularly to post what's going on, because I wish people would, So
What was your journey?
I didn't do it because I've learned
Okay,
if I journey when you're doing it, there's usually a technical problem.
right, yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna go and do it afterwards. I'll let you know what it was. So
Mm.
yeah, but I don't. I just hold space now when we're on the calls because I remember one day. Do you remember the one time I was doing it? There was just no sound or anything.
Yeah, I do.
I was journeying away, but nobody else could hear the drum track. So
Yeah, I remember that one.
yeah. All right then. Well, to Bonnie and Jenna who were here, thank you also for showing up. I know Jenna's got kids around, so she can't journey. And Bonnie, sorry I had trouble getting onto the call. I don't know why really, apart from the fact I was in a call at first, but that was only for the first 2 minutes.
It's feeling very Mercury retrograde already. I've had all
Really,
sorts of technical hitches with things this week.
it really is. I know, and we're not even there yet. So
No, no.
not even in
How's the astrology
class.
course going?
Really well. Really well.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had 13 people join, so it's really good.
Oh, that's a great number.
Yeah, it is. So I'm really pleased. So that's going to take quite a lot of attention for the next few weeks. So that's good. No, and I'm going to do more teaching of astrology. And I've still got to do this sales page for the retreat, but it's going to be the first weekend in April. So
First weekend. It's unlikely I'll be able to come, Louise, because I've got to do jury service in February.
yeah,
And so I won't be earning then because
so
I'm
you'll,
self-employed and I don't know how long it's going to be.
of course, might just be out a day and might not be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I did it
But
once.
I am planning to come to the States.
Yeah,
So if I come to the States, I'm just going to kind of connect with people, and
yeah,
that it includes you too.
yeah.
So it's kind
I'll
of
probably
do
do
a,
it, and I'll probably do another. I'll probably do more anyway. So yeah, but definitely, um, yeah, come visit. Utah's beautiful. Montman,
is it?
yeah, oh, it's amazing. Yeah, people, most people when they visit the states, they do the cities, and,
Yeah.
southern Utah particularly. It's very
I think I need to book in anyway for a one-to-one just to look at our transits for what's coming up.
Yeah, and progressions. Yeah, yeah. Well, you
Yeah,
know, you've got the discount and everything. You know.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Right. Well, I'm going
thank
to
you
go and
very
eat.
much.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
See you next time.
And see you on Facebook.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.